Hi, you're listening to It's All in the Cards podcast, a horror fiction podcast where all questions are welcome. But you may not like the answers. Some material may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Once we close the circle, Roz announces that I will indeed be giving an energy transference lesson tonight. As she goes through her regular spiel of announcements, my stomach tightens. Yeah, I've been helping Sam here and there, but what the hell do I know about teaching? Especially people who may never have even tried, or have a clue what it feels like. Why did I put my foot in my mouth and hint to Sam I wanted to do this? Oh, right. The bitch in the north.
Don't be nervous, you got this.
I'm not nervous.
Tell that to your skin.
She makes me realize I've been scratching at my side. I put my hand down and stand as Roz finishes her announcements and waves me forward. The smirk on her face is mocking, as if she knows this is going to be a disaster and just a further point that I can't run this coven. My self-doubt washes away as my spite comes rushing forward. Can't let Roz be proved right. Thank you, Rosalind. Good evening, neophytes. Are you ready to learn some real power? It's All in the Cards podcast, Season 2, Episode 4, The King of Swords. The first thing you need to know is that some of you will never master this. That doesn't mean you won't ever be able to lend energy, it just means some of you will have a natural aptitude for it that others won't. But what I teach, everyone can succeed to some extent or another, and it may be the amount that saves your life. Unblinking eyes grow wider as they're all intent on listening to my every word. Even the ones who were scared of me before, I now see their eagerness to learn. God and Goddess, don't let me fail them.
Jade, I happened to collect some items from the house and on the way that will be helpful to demonstrate for everyone.
Roz digs through the bag she always brings of different goodies for the evening classes. She pulls out a clear quartz crystal the size of an apple. Well, I'll be damned. She kept the light bulb. Is that a new one or the same old sticky light bulb we had when we were kids?
As if there's any replacing old Sparky.
A little sentimental there, Roz?
Just not wasteful.
She offers me the light bulb, and I take it. Roz and I made this crystal a circuit for power when we were kids. We used it to help us identify just how much energy we were able to share. Have any of you learned to shield yet? A few hands go up. Good to know who can and cannot protect themselves. Those of you who have shields up will need to either drop those shields or actively push energy into the crystal. For those of you new to both, you need only to hold the crystal in your hand. Think of it as a light bulb, as we so lovingly named it. Once the crystal is in your hand, it will light up with your ability to transfer energy. The brighter the bulb, the more of a natural you are. So this will give everyone a basic understanding of how hard they will have to work in order to succeed.
So this is very different from the truth cane.
They are both tools created to aid us, but for very different purposes, yes. And again, do not be discouraged if the crystal does not shine brightly. Everyone in the circle can learn basic energy transfer. So, who wants to go first? All hands shoot up, but Roz takes point.
Let's line up in a circle and pass it around. I will document everyone's starting point, and as we go, we will have more lessons and monitor your progress. Again, do not feel discouraged if you cannot perform this particular skill as well as others. We all have our own unique abilities to bring to the circle and to honor Hecate with.
I make sure Sam is further away from the beginning of the circle. If she is indeed the energy vampire she says she is, we don't need her being first and setting a disappointing baseline for the others. Hannah goes first. Roz hands her the crystal. It lights up like a nightlight. Not a bad baseline. I still have a feeling I need to be wary of her thirst for knowledge, but I see her accomplishing some things the more she practices. Justice is next. She doesn't glow as bright as Hannah, but most people don't. Most people barely have enough energy to sustain themselves, let alone pass it on to others. That's going to be a hard lesson to learn, but it's an important one. Something I may need to point out now before we get too far into the lessons. But I'll let them complete the pass around the circle first. When the light bulb gets to Sam, she hesitates before taking it. Just a millisecond. I don't know if she's afraid she won't be as bright as she thinks she should be, or if she's afraid she'll light up the night like a beacon and be the odd one out. The weight of people's expectations can be a hefty thing, but up until now, I didn't think she cared about anyone's expectations but her own. As soon as the crystal is firmly in her palm, it lights up like someone just flicked a switch on in a room. Steady, even current with a tint of neon green. She's the first I can clearly identify a color aura on. The others are too dim to tell for certain from my spot in the circle. The girls murmur their surprise and excitement while Sam is blushing? Interesting. Once all the girls have had a chance to test their levels, the real fun begins. No matter what level you're at, you should be able to ground and shield. Hands for those who already know how to ground. A few more hands go up than those who know how to shield. Makes sense that they would learn that before shielding. Let's make this a pair exercise then. Those of you with your hands up, keep them up. Those with your hands down, find someone with their hand up to pair off with. Those who know, try to explain to your partner. Roz and I will come around and help where needed. Roz and I watch the neophytes flitter here and there, finding a partner. Roz helps when a few look completely lost, as if they can't see any more hands up. Once the hands are all down, there's one oddball out of the group, but Roz quickly assigns her to a pair. She comes to my side while the group works on grounding.
The time has been decided. You and your aunt are invited to the gathering to discuss...
Yeah, I know. When?
Solstice. That gives us time to gather the others involved.
You know, if you just go to the tar tree and summon everyone, they'd come in seconds.
I don't assume that everyone has that power anymore, Jade. Nor should their lives be interrupted outside of the contract. Not on that short a notice.
And if the bitch in the north decides to wake and break the seal sooner?
Don't be childish. Of course we would call in an emergency.
Just saying. Call them now. There won't be an emergency to deal with. Those two look like they're struggling. I'm gonna go help. The two I point at are doing fine. I just want away from Roz. She takes the hint. I don't want to think about the gathering, what it means, or my role in it. Aunt Beatty's gotten worse, not better, which means I'll have to keep my promise of representing her at the sealing ceremony when the time comes. I really don't want to, but there's not much choice. The choice at hand is really how to keep it. I pace around the group. Many of them are doing well to ground their energy into the earth. Their energy pulses into the dirt. Some of it feels like water soaking into the ground. Some feel like a shovel buried deep in the soil. Others feel like hands plowing up the earth to dig their own spot in it. Their shields are all very similar. Some create a sphere of protection like I do. Others wear it tight around their skin like their aura is a force field. What they visualize as they release their energy helps shape their magic. All of them could create one shield. A few are able to do 2, but none are able to do more than 3. Now we have a goal to work towards for everyone. Great job, everyone. You held good concentration and worked hard. Before we end the lesson and move on to the next topic, I would like to demonstrate one last thing. Everyone gather around. This isn't a trick I can do more than once. The group crowds together in just 2 rows in front of me, packed like sardines on the ground. I pick up a leaf, orange and crinkled. I wave it slowly in the group's face. It can be a wonderful thing if you're able to give energy to others, for healing wounds or sickness. I'm sure some of you have been considering these as a goal to work towards. So before you go home and try grounding and shielding and lending energy, let me show you what can happen. I shove my energy into the leaf. In front of their eyes, the leaf turns color, back to the brilliant green it had been in the summer, stout and moist. The girls gasp in front of me at first in awe, but Sam notices what I need the group to see.
Jade, your hand!
The skin of my left hand dries and cracks. The muscles lose their strength and density until my hand looks 100 years old. I hold it up for the group to see. Many back away from it as if it's contagious. I don't blame them. Shit. I forgot how much this hurts. If you give too much of yourself, or the wrong parts of yourself, this can happen. A basic law of thermodynamics you do well to remember. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. If you pass your energy to another, you must replenish it from somewhere else, so that this does not happen. Roz.
Use the fire.
I turn to the small crackling campfire at the face of the circle. I swallow its energy down like I did Damien, the flames growing smaller and smaller until it's gone. The darkness blankets the circle, our vision all but gone. Then Roz lights a flame in her hand. I don't mean a lighter, or torch, or flashlight. She's holding a damn flame of fire in her palm. Damn, Roz, I didn't think you'd ever flex again. Her smile dances mischievously in the light of her flame.
It's nice to expel some energy every once in a while.
When do we get to learn how to do that?
As Jade is an energy vampire, I too have a unique talent. My magic is elemental magic. So, again, not everyone can do what I do, but the only way to find out is to try. See where your talents lay.
She kneels beside the pile of burnt wood and reignites the campfire.
But don't let my little stretch of power distract you. Jade is absolutely right. Practice molding your energy, but do not try to lend it to anyone yet. Not without our guidance. Thank you, Jade, for the lesson tonight.
I take a theatrical bow. It's nice to feel like I've accomplished something. I make it home that evening in one piece. The Marine's ultimatum is heavy on my mind. She's being selfish and stubborn. She can easily give me the demon's name and save Steven. Or she gives me too much credit that I can save him on my own. Hell, maybe I can, and I've just been too timid to try. My fail with the deck of the Eternal showed me that God is not with me, so it would be my power alone to exercise Two-Faced, but the more time he's in my basement, the more I wonder if he's here because he wants to be. Perched on the banister outside my apartment door is this white cat that Sam brought in. She sits there expectantly, as if she's been waiting for me to open the door for her. A little presumptuous there, eh, kitty? If you're going to be here at all, it will be in the shop, not my apartment. Now scoot. As I unlock my door, she continues to stare at me and meows as I step in. Before I can shut the door, she dashes between my legs and into the living room. Seriously, cat? Did you see a mouse or something? I'll deal with you later. I shut and lock the door, slowly undressing and letting clothes fall where they may. I yawn as I make my way to my bedroom, exhausted and ready for some sleep. I make it to the threshold of my bedroom, but before I reach inside to turn the light on, I stop right before my hand can breach the darkness. The cat sits at my feet, peering into the blackness of my bedroom. But her gaze looks intent, as if she's staring at something interesting there. That's when I hear it, a low moaning sound coming from my room. A moan of pleasure, not pain. Not yet, anyway. Grunting follows, but with the light from the living room, I can see my bed clear enough to know no one is on it. But someone is on the far side of it. His back is turned to me, as if going to town on himself in the corner. But as he teeters on that line of release, he throws his head back, but not in pleasure. His neck is bent so far back I could see the whites of his eyes. The swift slice of a blade, and the splatter of blood on my wall makes me blink. With that blink, he's now standing in front of me, pants down and blood pouring all down the front of him. He's choking on his own blood. And the fear, God, the fear on him. His fear of me. Donald, my first kill. Don't you dare look at me like that, you pedophilic piece of shit. You deserved what I did to you.
That's what all women think. They think they can use and abuse a man however they want, and then cast him to the side when they're done.
Damien's breath is hot against my neck, but I refuse to cower away from him. How many more damn souls are you going to parade in front of me? Whatever the number is, it's not enough to make me break.
We'll see about that.
Enough of this. I flare my energy out in a sphere around me. The force of it bats Damien and Donald away into obscurity. But I'm sure they'll be back. Damn it. I've got to get that demon out of my basement. A little voice inside my head says that won't be enough, but it's at least a start. I ward my bedroom for extra protection from Damien and his shadows before I go to sleep. Maybe I'll finally be able to rest. I plug my Himalayan salt lamp in for a nice glow throughout the night, just in case the wards don't hold. Even if it doesn't actually do much to protect me, there's always that childlike belief that a little light will keep the shadows away. But sometimes we forget it's that little light that makes the shadows darker. But tonight, it's comfort. Just as I begin to toss, unable to fall asleep, the damn cat jumps up on my bed. Get down, cat! I don't need your fur all over my comforter. She ignores me, walking up the length of my body and collapsing against my chest. Her white fur is soft and warm. If you help me go to sleep, you can stay. The first time I wake up to you clawing me or tickling me with your fur, you're out. But the cat is already purring softly, not a care in the world. Must be nice. Who the hell is knocking on my door this late at night? As I crawl out of bed, the cat mews at me her dissatisfaction that I disturbed her from her slumber. I hang out over my bedroom doorway and stare at my front door. We're closed. Come back in the morning.
I'm afraid this can't wait, Miss Albright.
The accent catches my attention. You sound a bit far from home there, friend. Are you as pretty as you sound?
You could answer that question yourself if you could be so kind as to open the door.
As I make my way to the door, I release my power. It seeps through to the outside and gets a read on the man. His energy is a red hue of loveliness glowing in the night. I take a deep breath and get a scent like garlic, a little too intense for my teeth. I don't sense anyone else with him. Either he's really alone or his company is guarded by magic. As tempting as that sounds, I don't open the door for strangers.
Don't take this the wrong way, but what about for a very profitable job?
I crack the door open, but have my body braced against it along with the sliding lock. I know sliding locks are more of a visual deterrent than a real one, but I use as many as I can. What kind of job?
The kind you do for fairly cheap in your store, but if you would travel with me to my employer's residence, he's willing to pay you a rate vastly higher than the price in your window.
The man stands in a tailored suit that's probably worth more than I make at the store in a month. His black dress shoes shine with the light above my door. His teeth shine brighter as he smiles while he talks. His blonde hair is cut short in the back, but shaggy in the front, long enough to style and part and throw over so it looks lush as it hides one side of his face. Well, you are definitely as pretty as you sound.
Pretty enough to be let in?
If I say yes to the job, do you need to be let in?
No, I can just wait down by the car if you prefer.
Dang. I was hoping you'd insist, and I could definitely tell you no. It's always hard to turn a pretty face down.
That's why I make sure to always look my best. I'm Harry, by the way.
Amazing to meet you, Harry. And who is your employer?
You'd rather me not say until I'm able to introduce you at his home office.
Aw, is he shy?
He is a discreet man. He comes by it naturally, I suppose.
So he sends you to be his errand boy?
Not usually, but you are a special case he wanted me to handle personally.
So does that mean you take me to dinner afterwards? He smiles and seems to think about this for a moment.
It depends. You still haven't answered whether or not you will take the job, or at the least come with me to discuss the job with my employer.
Are you saying a night with you can be another perk if I agree to come, or are you saying you don't mix business and pleasure? He leans down closer to my face, his lips mere inches from my own. That garlic smell of his energy mixes with his cologne, and it takes everything in my power not to lick his lip. Be still, my heart.
I'll mix pleasure into just about anything, Jade. And I promise no harm will come to you if you agree to take the job.
I lean just an inch closer to him, just damn near crossing my eyes to see his. I'm afraid I learned the hard way not to do home visits. If he wants to talk business, he can call me, schedule a web call, or come here himself.
Are you sure there's nothing I can do to persuade you?
Maybe a couple of dinners to get to know you, so I can decide whether or not to trust you. But I'm sure your employer wants me tonight, am I right?
That you are. In a different circumstance, he would have taken his time to reach out through more appropriate channels, but our first plan fell through and now we are urgently needing your assistance.
He pulls away, but the fun sexual tension still lingers, at least for me. He seems to be drawing his energy back into himself now that he suspects my answer. Pity. I appreciate the background, but sorry. As pretty as you are, it's still not worth the risk.
I had hoped I could persuade you to come, but my employer was clear that I am not to fail him on this.
Are you about to go from good guy to bad guy, Harry?
Not I, Jade. Not I.
His eye twitches quickly to look past me, then back to me. It is the only tip I have that someone's behind me. Before I can curse myself for not sensing someone in my own apartment, a hand smaller than I expect touches my left temple, and one word echoes through my mind. Sleep. I wake up to my own hot breath thrown back in my face as a black bag keeps me from seeing anything. I instinctively try to raise my hands to take it off and find that I can't move. Panic immediately crushes my chest and it becomes even harder to breathe. I cannot stand being unable to move. Very few times have I ended up in situations like this, and it never ended well for all parties involved. Harry, if you're in here, get this thing off my face before I puke and ruin everyone's night.
Go ahead, Harry. Now that our guest is awake.
Footsteps approach me and the bag is lifted from my head. My eyes adjust to the brightly lit home office as my breathing calms with an open air. In front of me is a man sitting at a mahogany desk. His salt and pepper hair is cut short on the sides, but long enough on top to style into a wave. Even sitting down, I can tell he's a tall man. A man probably used to getting what he wants. That type is always just a joy to turn down.
Is this better, Miss Albright?
Would it be too much to ask to be untied?
Harry?
A man that can convey to others what he wants with just their name. Double whammy. He's more powerful and well-spoken than I feel like dealing with tonight. But I have a feeling I won't get much choice. Harry moves to untie my wrists. As he does, I turn to him as far as I can. All I can see is the curve of his ass. Focus, Jade. If you have a magic wielder strong enough to mask their energy and knock me out, then why do you need me?
Our magic wielder can only put people to sleep. He's good for cases such as yourself, not for what we need of you. Now stop being rude and say thank you to my employer.
I stare out the window behind the man at the desk while Harry finishes untying me. The glow of streetlights and signs below signal that we're high up. I'm assuming on a hill and not a tall building. There aren't a lot of tall buildings in Arkansas, no matter what part they brought me to. Yes, we are still in Arkansas, and gazing out the window while the handsome Harry unties me tells me exactly where. The Arlington Hotel peeks through the window just over the man's shoulder. Harry steps away and takes his post at the desk when he finishes untying me. Thank you. I don't know your name yet. He smiles at me as if a friend is introducing us.
My name is Richard, and you are Jade Albright.
I see some sort of reputation of mine precedes me, but if I had to take a guess now, seeing where we are, you are not merely Richard. You are Richard Cook.
It was the Arlington that tipped you off. Am I right?
Mr. Cook, come now. I'm a witch. I know everything. But yes, the Arlington is right over your shoulder, and not many men have the money or grunt work to bring me here as you did.
I do apologize for the method required in bringing you here, but I don't have a lot of time, and I desperately need your assistance.
Jeez, you make it so tempting to work with you. He flashes a smile again, but this time it's less real. I'm annoying him. Usually that's a fun thing to do, but tonight that may be dangerous. Sometimes I just can't help myself. He leans forward on his desk.
Harry gave you our rate for the job. As long as we don't have any other problems from you tonight, that rate still stands.
You sure know how to make a girl feel special. But one thing I don't do anymore, Mr. Cook, is home visits. My last home visit, I got shot.
It's very amusing that you mention that. The residence of Renee and Ryan Wilson, correct?
My heart races at the mention of their name. I really stepped in it this time. Am I to assume one of them was your business associate?
If they were simply a business associate, I'd have only laughed at Renee being thrown in jail. But she is my youngest daughter.
Youngest? Sir, you do not look old enough to be her father. He laughs, and it's a sincere laugh. A laugh of any man who loves when his ego is stroked.
She's my youngest. My middle child is downstairs having a party. Can you hear it?
I hadn't paid attention to much of anything other than the feeling of how many bodies are in this room. But now that he mentions it, the vibration from the music below tickles my feet. I do now. I have a feeling you need me down there, but I doubt a 20-something or 30-something wants a tarot reader at her birthday party.
The tarot would be a front, Miss Albright. We have need of your other talents. There's a man downstairs who, to keep you out of it as much as possible, we need to be very open to persuasion tonight.
Drown him in liquor. That ought to do it to anyone.
We need him sober, believing he is of his own mind to make a decision. And since I would say you owe me one for getting my youngest daughter thrown in jail, my terms are more than gracious. I'm actually happy you separated her from Ryan. He was too big a bleeding heart.
Harry and his helper grabbed me before I could grab my deck.
Harry.
Harry digs into his inner pocket in his suit and pulls out my personal deck, laying it gently on the desk in front of me. I choose my next words carefully. He's right. A man like him would have had me harmed or at least killed, or some more heinous punishment for getting his daughter jailed. That thought reminds me of the girl I met over the summer, and if she plays into all of this. I appreciate you trying to keep me out of the mob business as much as possible, but I don't use my magic for politics or business plays. Not for anyone. It keeps me a neutral party that can be trusted when you need a Switzerland for truths. If I am seen on a big player's payroll, I lose that credibility.
I understand that business. But if you're on my payroll, you're set for life. Not many people walk away after turning me down, Jade.
Are you an avid country music listener? Join me, Miss Helen, and producer Kyle on the Texas Toast podcast, where we talk with some of country music's biggest stars, like Parker McCollum, Josh Abbott, and Pat Green, as well as my favorite part, new upcoming performers and songwriters like Dylan Gossett and Braxton Keith. We learn all about their journeys into music and what makes them tick, along with never-before-heard stories about the making of their songs. Join us every Tuesday and Friday wherever you get your podcasts, and you might just learn about your new favorite artists.
Oh, he switched from Miss Albright to Jade, and his pleasant tone only dampens a notch with that last sentence. Not many people have my talents, Richard. But before I decide, why don't I consult the cards? He leans back in his chair and looks at my deck.
You're going to let the cards decide if you help me or not?
I let the cards decide a number of things for me. Why not this? They'll have insight into my future that I do not, if you don't mind. But I need a piece of paper and writing utensil. He smiles at me, amused by my tactic. He slides me my deck, along with a notepad and pen. I ease to the edge of my chair and grab the pen and paper first, writing my question for the cards down. I fold the paper several times and hold it out to Harry. If you don't mind, please hold this. Do not open it until I ask you to. Harry smiles and takes the paper from me gladly, tucking it away where he had my deck. I grab the cards and begin shuffling. One simple question that Harry now has tucked away in his pocket. A yes or no question. Those I usually find boring, but this one will be fun. I pull the card and hold it up to Richard and Harry. Huh! Dick and Harry. I fight back the urge to ask if someone nearby is named Tom and start the dance. Strength. This card means yes to my question. Richard smiles eagerly.
So you'll help us?
It's my turn to flex some power. Harry? Harry retrieves the question from his pocket and opens it up. He blanches at what he sees and looks at me, pleading with his eyes not to do this. He looks down at the waiting Richard and turns the paper to him. My neatly written question, did Richard Cook try to have me killed over the summer, stares him in the face. It wipes the smile off his bearded mug, and he turns a blank face to me.
Can't blame a man for trying, can you? Not after how you treated my daughter.
She's the one who tried to use me as a pawn in her money grab scheme. Apple must not fall far from the tree, though I'm sure you have a better knack for it.
After the young lady we hired to seduce you didn't make it back, we assumed you killed her. So it seems we share our secrets, Jade. There's no reason we can't both just sweep the unpleasantries under the rug and move forward together.
I don't do business with people who try to assassinate me, Mr. Cook, so I will be leaving here now. You can choose to have Harry escort me home like the gentleman he really is, or you can leave me to find my own safe passage home. Either way, I'm walking out now.
If you can walk out of here, you can leave.
I don't like his phrasing, but I stand. My body doesn't react badly to the sudden upward movement, so I make for the door. The two men stand in the way, looking like they're not about to budge. Mr. Cook, do you really want me to kill your men just to prove I can? It'll be fun for me, but a waste of talent for you.
You can try, Jade. You can try.
I step closer to the gentlemen as I drink them down, prepared to pet their faces as they die. But as my magic reaches for their energy, it hits a mystical wall of sorts. Damn. A ward. I don't see any trinket on the men, but they both are ankle to neck in suits. Their long sleeves and tight collars could be hiding something. You did your homework, Richard. I respect that. If you have the magic toward these men, your caster must be a novice, or just weak, if you can't also use them to persuade your man below.
He's not a novice, but his talents lie in only trapping or preventing traps. He's not at your level.
He could have came to me for a consult, a lesson or two, and then you'd have your willing magic helper. But for this, your men in front of me still die, and I still walk out of this room. The strength card still in my hand, I use its paper-thin edge to slice my palm open. I make the motion look like I'm simply returning the card to the rest of the deck and tucking it back in my pocket.
If she utters a word,
By
kill
blood,
her!
I call to thee. The men in front of me pull their guns out from their hidden side holsters, but too slow. I already got the words out of my mouth, and they're standing directly in the darkened doorway. It takes a millisecond for Domino to clear that threshold, jaws gaping wide, so wide that both men's heads fit between his teeth as he snaps his mouth shut. He doesn't cleanly decapitate them, but he pulls them both down to the floor and starts chomping. The men's muffled screams last mere seconds as Domino crushes their heads with his massive jaws. I walk backwards to Domino, still facing Harry and Richard by the window. I'm not giving them my back. If you come for me again, I will end you. I don't want to end you, Mr. Cook. You tried to kill me, I had your daughter thrown in jail. I call that even. You won't hear from me ever again. Not for revenge or any dirty laundry being spilled. I just want left the hell alone. Harry, sorry we couldn't have that dinner. I grab Domino by the neck and fling myself upon his body. He turns and we go back through the doorway and land in the forest. I let myself fall off of Domino and onto the cold foliage. Laying here, I stare up at the pitch-black canopy of trees, a full moon dusting what few gaps of branches and leaves there is with light. My heart thuds against my chest. My eyes burn with the coming tears. Can people just leave me the hell alone? Before I let my body be taken over by my sobbing and self-pity, I hear a different voice. A whisper, barely on the wind, but it's there, floating through the trees. I sit up and stupidly look around with my eyes first. Once I realize I can't see shit, I reach out with my power to see what's there. I initially thought Domino brought us near the Glory Hole cave, but as I try to orient myself with the energy I feel, I know I'm dead wrong. He's taken us further north. I'm not 100% sure if this is where his pack has made a den, but there's something else here. My magic finds it. About 200 feet further north, my magic creeps over the tar tree, its filthy residue sticking to my power like its namesake. I pull back as soon as I come into contact with it, my magic snapping back to me like gum. Shit. After what we experienced on Halloween, I really don't want to be here. Domino, why did you bring us here? He looks at me like he's content here, so maybe his den is nearby. Or maybe... Domino, take me home now, please. He doesn't seem bothered by my request or the whispers in the air. He tilts his snout upwards and perks his ears in the direction of the tree. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he hears someone that he knows. Domino, please. Last trip for tonight. I can give you some food when we get there. He turns back to me at the mention of food. I climb on his back once more and we bound off through the trees until he finds an in-between he wants to use to transport me home. I don't look back as the whispers follow us. I don't look back once I smell the honey on the wind again. And I sure as hell don't look back as fingers play with my hair as it's dancing in the wind. Well, that was a nice little side adventure for Jade. I wonder if Richard will heed her warning or if he will come for her again. Time will tell. This episode of It's All in the Cards podcast was written by Ashley McAnelly and Morgan Valko. Theme music was composed by ThaArsonist and performed by Veronica Stonebreaker. Featuring the voice talents of Ashley McAnelly, Jessica McEvoy, Nichole Goodnight, David Ault, S.H. Cooper, Journey Brown-Saintel, Atticus Jackson, and Graham Rowat. If you would like to support the show, you can join our Patreon and get ad-free episodes, early access, and exclusive bonus content, including the spin-off series The Deck of the Eternals, a Patreon exclusive to our Celtic Cross Spread subscribers. Part 1 is out now, and Part 2 will be premiering in December. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at It's All in the Cards Podcast, and Twitter at It's All in the Cards, and Instagram at It's All in the Cards Podcast. Links in the show notes.